In this video, we're going to simplify this rational expression. Now, when you're simplifying rational expressions, you think factor, cancel, what's left over. So we first got to factor our polynomials. Now we have 3x squared plus 5x minus 2 over 9x squared minus 1. So for the numerator, first we see can we factor out any greatest common factors, and no, we can't. So we next got to think, okay, we have a trinomial, the leading coefficient is 3, so what method are we going to use to factor this? Now let's just practice on the side using what is known as the AC method, where you multiply. This is when you have a polynomial of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. You multiply your a times c first, so your leading coefficient times your constant. So that would be the 3 times negative 2. That would be negative 6. And then you got to find two numbers whose product is this negative 6 and whose sum is the middle coefficient of 5. Well, the product is supposed to be negative 6, so one's positive, one's negative. Their sum is positive 5. That must mean the larger one is a positive one. So if we think about that, one possibility would be negative 1 and 6, and that would actually be the right one, because the product of those two values is negative 6, and their sum is equal to the middle coefficient. So the negative 1 plus 6 is 5. So what you do next, once you find those two values, you break up your middle term using those two values. So this would be 3x squared, and then instead of plus 5x, you would write it as minus x plus 6x minus 2. Because if you combine those together, of course, it equals to that 5x. And then you use factor by grouping. So we group together our first two terms. Now, since this is a plus sign between the second and third term, we just group together the second two terms, factor out the greatest common factor from each pair. So I could factor out an x from the first pair. So we'd have x times 3x minus 1. And then we could factor out a 2 from the second pair. And again, we'd have 3x minus 1 inside the parentheses. That's the indication that you're doing this correctly when you have these two terms which have a common binomial factor of 3x minus 1. So you could factor that out. And let's see, if I factor out the 3x minus 1 from that first term, I saw the x. From the second term, I have the plus 2. So that tells us that this polynomial factors to 3x minus 1 times x plus 2. Now for the denominator, we have 9x squared minus 1. Well, we have two terms, and we think, okay, is this a difference of squares, difference of cubes, sum of cubes? Well, 9x squared, that's 3x squared, and 1 is 1 squared. So that is a difference of two squares. And remember, if you have a squared minus b squared, that factors to a minus b times a plus b. So in this case, our a is at 3x, our b is the 1. So this factors to 3x minus 1 times 3x plus 1. Now we could cancel, and let me just show you the reason why we could cancel. This is the same thing as 3x minus 1 over 3x minus 1 times that x plus 2 over 3x plus 1. Now 3x minus 1 over 3x minus 1, that's 1. So this would be 1 times this x plus 2 over 3x plus 1. So that would just be the x plus 2 over the 3x plus 1. That's why we could think of just canceling those 3x minus 1s. So that's the simplified version of that rational expression.